All right, we'll get going on lesson 1.4. We're going to talk about arithmetic series today. And I just wanted to actually do this quick warm-up with everyone just to get back into the swing of finding certain term numbers. So here it says, what is the 53rd term in the sequence below? So the first thing to look at is just like how it's changing, okay? So if you look at here, that would be going up by 4. And remember, it's got to make sure that it's consistent, right? Okay, and it is. It's all adding by 4, which is good. Which means if I go backwards, that would be subtracting 4. Okay, so I can write an equation for this. This 0 term here, or the y-intercept, would be -9. Okay. Then to find the 53rd term, you just plug in 53 for x. Okay, and I like doing a sub 53 equals, I'll have to plug this in here, 4 times 53 and minus 9. So the 53rd term is 203. Okay, so you want to get kind of just fluent in that. Should be something that we kind of all remember and can kind of go through because we're going to need it here later on. So like I said, today we're going to talk about arithmetic series, and we'll kind of see what that looks like in relation to arithmetic sequences. Okay. So looking at this first example here on your sheet, it says that an amphitheater can seat 18 people in the first row, and then each row can seat 4 more people than the previous row. How many seats are in each row if there are 8 rows? So I'm just going to go, like this is the first row is 18. Second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, 8th row. Okay. Each row can seat 4 more people. So then this next row, row 2, would be 22. Row 3 would be 26, 30, 34, 38, 42, and 46. So it just is adding 6. Okay, I'm actually going to row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we can kind of see that. Row 8 has 46. Now it says how many total people. Okay, so total people would mean that we need to add up all of these numbers here. Okay, so I'm not going to rewrite the whole thing again and add them all up, but I'm going to type it all in. And just see what we get. And one thing while we're kind of typing this in too is be careful not to say that there's 46 people total, because that's just in the last row. That's just in the 8th row. So when I add all these up, I get 256 people, or 256 seats. Okay, total. That's the total amount. So that's like what we're looking at as the series, is when we add them all up. Okay. Ooh, not that one. Must have missed this. Here it is. List out all the numbers 1 through 20. Okay, so I'm going to do that here. And you can do the same on your sheet of paper. Or you can just kind of watch and wait. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Uh-oh, I'm running out of room. I'll just kind of go back. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. What is the sum of all those numbers? Oh, it's like, okay, we got to do 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 and keep on going that way, right? Oh my goodness. It's going to take a while. Well, that's not going to take too long. $210. Okay. Awesome. So we're just adding them all up. List them all out, add them all up. The next one is 1 through 500. Okay. So once y'all start writing all those numbers out, And I'll just, kind of wait here until you finish that up, like next week. Okay, totally kidding, right? So I'm going to actually show you something with this part B. Okay, if I drew a line underneath all this, what's 1 plus 20? What's 2 plus 19? 3 and 18? 4 and 17? 5 and 16? 6 and 15? 7 and 14? 8 and 13? 9 and 12? 10 and 11? How many 21s do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 21s. 21 times 10 is 210. Crazy, right? And I'm actually going to write this a little bit differently. Sorry. I'm going to do 10 21s. Okay. I have 10 21s, which is 210. Perfect. That might help us out with this next one, okay? Find the sum of the integers 1 through 500. So in the other one, I had 10 21s. Well, where did I get that 10 from? Well, if I have 20 total here, how would I relate that to 10? Okay, well, I could cut that in half. So instead of 500, I could do 250, right? Because the numbers 1 through 500, there's 500 numbers. So I just cut that in half, get 250. And where's that 21 coming from? Oh, I could just do 20 plus 1. So here, I can do 500 plus 1, 250 times 501. 125, 250. Check that out. Much simpler way. So I'm just going to write that down. This is half of the numbers. And this was the first number plus the last number. Okay, if I were to try and just write that out loud, we did that with the with 1 through 20 as well. Okay, this part in red here that I wrote down, that's actually going to help us a ton with finding out this equation for it. Okay, so equation to find the sum of an arithmetic series. I'm going to start out with a big S, S sub n. All that means is sum, okay? I'm going to write that. All that means is sum, okay? It's like y equals or whatever, okay? So S sub n, the sum is, now over here it said half of the numbers. Well, if I had 50 numbers, to cut it in half would be 50 over 2. If we're just in general going to have n numbers, I'm going to do n divided by 2. I'm going to write that 2 like this. Okay. So n divided by 2, you do half of the numbers, and you multiply it by the first number, which remember is a sub 1, plus the last number, which I'm going to call a sub n. Okay, so I'm going to write this all out again. This chunk right here is half of the numbers. This is the first number. I'm going to call it the first term. And this one here is the last term. Okay, so with the numbers 1 through 500, we had 500 numbers, so we cut it in half. Then we took 1 plus the last one, which was 500. Now we're not just adding up numbers 1 through 100 and 1 through 1,000. We're not just doing that. We'll be given some sequences and some information to find the sum, okay? So that's why I have this little example right below it. So it says here, it says let a sub 1 equal 5, so the first number is 5. And then it says d equals negative 3. This d is the same as slope. Okay, it's called the common difference. All that means is slope. That's just how it's changing. So the first one is 5, and then it's subtracting 3. subtracting 3, and so on. It says find the sum of the first 30 terms. Okay, well this is like our n. That's the number of terms that we're adding up, the number of numbers. So if I kind of started this out, I'd have s sub n equals, I'm going to write out 30 divided by 2. You all might say, well, that's 15. Yep, you're right. The first number plus, well, that last number, a sub n, we don't know what that is yet. It should be the 30th number, and I don't know that yet. I got to find the 30th number. So that's what I have to do first. So like step 1, find the 30th number. And we just did that in the warm-up, right? So I would do y equals negative 3x, and I need to do plus 8. Remember, you have to go backwards to find out that y-intercept. Plug in 30, so negative 3 times 30 plus 8 I get negative 82. Okay. That is the last term, or the 30th term. Okay, that is what we're going to plug in right in the end. Okay? So there's going to be some steps that you have to do first, like we just saw here. So now 30 divided by 2 is 15. 5 plus negative 82 is negative 77. And when I multiply those, I get negative 1,155. That is the sum of those first 30 terms. And you might be thinking, well, you're adding up numbers. Well, you're adding up a bunch of negative numbers, because as you keep on going down, they get more and more negative. And you're adding a bunch of them up. Okay, so the first step here is where we had to find that 30th number and then plug it in. For this next example, we're going to have some other steps to do first. So it says find the sum of the integers from 201 all the way up to 600. Okay, well, how many numbers are there? That's my big question. How many numbers are there? I know my first number and I know my last number. Okay. And I know some of you might be doing 600 minus 201, and you get 399. Okay, which is a good start, but it's not right. In order to figure out how many numbers there are, you could subtract and get 399, but then you just kind of have to add back 1. Because when you subtract, you're actually taking away too many. It's like if I asked you how many numbers from 1 to 10. Well, there's 10, right? But 10 minus 1 is 9. So you have to add 1 back to it. So we can do 600 minus 201. Get 399, but then you just have to remember to add back that 1. So there's 400 total numbers. So if I do my sum, sorry if something got messed up here. If I do my sum, 400 divided by 2, then the first number plus the last number. Okay, this would be 400 divided by 2 is 200 times 801. I get 160,200. That is the sum. Okay. One more example. And this one you'll see on the backside too of the practice. Just want to have you notice that's the second term is 8. Okay, so I'm going to put a little 2 underneath it. That's the second term. Third, fourth, fifth term is 26. What is the sum of the first 5 terms? Well, I don't know that first term. Okay, so when we kind of look at this, and I like writing it out this way, this number that I'm going to add on here, here, and here is going to be the same number, right? But I don't know what that number is. Notice that I'm adding it 3 times. I'm adding it once here, once again, and once again. So you're adding that number 3 times. So let's figure out what's the difference between these two, the 8 and 26. Remember what difference means? Difference means subtraction. 26 minus 8 would give me 18. Okay, so all of these 3 added up are going to give me 18. Another way to figure that out is do these bottom 2 numbers, the 5 and the 2. Let's do 5 minus 2 is 3. Well, that's what we figured out here, the 1, 2, 3. And then do 18 divided by 3. And get 6. This is what you're adding by. You add 6, 14. Add 6, 20. Add 6, 26. Okay, remember it needs to be the same. Well, then to go backwards, subtract 6 and get 2. Okay, I'm going to help you set up the equation. But before I do that, you only have 5 numbers here, right? Just add up the 5 numbers. 2 plus 8 plus 14 plus 20 plus 26. It's nothing too crazy. You could just add up all 5 of them. I'm going to show the equation just because if you want to use it, we can. There's 5 total numbers divided by 2. The first number is a 2. The last one's 26. This would be like 2.5 times 28, which is 70. Okay, again, you could just add up these 5 numbers and plug it in that way, and it probably would take you a shorter amount of time than it took me to do that. So it's kind of up to you. If you're only adding up like 5 or 10 numbers, then you could just add them up. If you're adding 400 numbers like up here, then you'd probably want to use the equation. Okay, so on the back, there's just some practice problems there. There's some similar ones to what we just did. In those last 2 problems, if you get stuck, that's okay. Just give them a shot. Write in what you know, draw a picture, see what you get.